Good morning, chaps and chapesses. My name's Runs with Fire, and I'll be taking you through this week's Gamers Briefing. First up then, if you are a fan of medieval mayhem, then this has been quite the week for you. Chivalry has released a free update which has added in several new brutal weapons, including the polearm, flail and heavy flail. They also added in a couple of new game modes, including Capture the Flag and Duel, which is a one-on-one series of maps, and they've actually integrated a kind of tournament support system. Now, if you're a fan of the game station, TGS, then they recently did a duel-a-thon which kind of showcased the new dueling system and the new weapons in there. So if you're interested in that, well worth checking out those videos. I'll put a link into the TGS station in the links below. But pretty brutal stuff, and it's great to see continuing support with free updates for this game. Chivalry really has been kind of a surprise win. Very, very popular. Not to be outdone, however, War of the Roses has announced that they're going to be releasing a premium DLC. Yes, it is premium, you are going to have to pay for it, but they've announced that they are going to add Brian Blessed as the game's narrator. Brian Blessed! Oh, look at the beard! Oh! Now, if you're not familiar with Brian Blessed, which you very well may not be if you're American or indeed from mainland Europe, Brian Blessed is something of a legend in terms of UK thespian circles. He very famously played King Richard IV, I think it was, in Blackadder the First. And he's known for a very big, loud, booming voice. Does a lot of serious plays as well, stage shows. The guy was that popular that TomTom actually released a voice pack for their sat-nav. I will try and put a video link in the description below, but seriously guys, Brian Blessed. I'm quite sure if you're a fan of the Yogscast, you'll be very familiar with Brian Blessed, because he's something of a hero of Simon's. And I can't blame him. Brian Blessed is just king. He is absolute king. War of the Roses also announced that they're going to be releasing a Kingmaker edition, and that will include the premium DLC. So if you haven't already bought War of the Roses, you can get that complete pack. I don't think they've announced a release date yet for it, but hopefully we'll update that as soon as I can find out. They've also going to be announced that they're going to be releasing a free update as well, and this is going to include several new armor items, so you can customize your character even further. I'm not really sure how much more customization you actually need in War of the Roses. It's probably one of the most detailed customization packages out there for any sort of game, aside from Team Fortress 2's hats, obviously. But hey, more armor, it's a free update, so why not? And we're also going to be adding a new map, which they said is going to be a very large forest area map. So, if you're a fan of that medieval combat style first person game, or indeed if you own one or other of the games, then it's good news for you, and I encourage you to go check that out. Keeping with the DLC theme, Square Enix has announced that they're going to release new DLC for Sleeping Dogs. It's going to be called The Year of the Snake. Now, the action takes place immediately after the events of the original game, and Officer Wei Shen, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, will be back working with the Hong Kong police. This time he's going to be investigating the goings-on behind a secret end-of-the-world cult called, imaginatively enough, the Cult of the Snake. It promises several new abilities, new outfit changes, all those sort of good things. And a couple of new weapons have been announced, including gas launchers and tasers. So that should be released at some point within the next 3 months, or so Square Enix have said. I do own Sleeping Dogs. I haven't played it yet. It's one of those games, I have a ton of games on Steam which I have purchased and just not got around to playing yet, because I honestly don't have the time. It's one of my things I'm very, very guilty of, is buying games and then not actually getting around to playing them. So hopefully, perhaps when the DLC comes out, I'll get that, and it will spur me on to playing it. Sleeping Dogs got a kind of mixed reviews. From what I understand, like I say, I've not played it, but from what I understand from reviews, the city of Hong Kong, as it was presented in the game, was very, very good. It was a very well laid out city. There was a lot going on in it. It felt alive, and it was exactly the kind of setting that game needed. Unfortunately, the combat system, which is very reminiscent of Batman Arkham Asylum, didn't hold up that well, and the controls were and the combat in general was just a lot sloppier, particularly when you compare it against the Batman series of games, which are older, yet the combat is much more fluid. And there were also a couple of quibbles about the storyline elements, and it was very easy to lose yourself within the triad missions and the police missions, and you lost sight of things, blah 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 blah. I don't really know. I think perhaps some of the synopsis complaints a little bit unjustified. From what I have seen of the gameplay, like I say, I haven't played it myself, but to me some of the storyline elements looked quite engaging, quite involved. But I can certainly understand why the combat was a bit of a letdown. Hopefully the DLC will help to refine some of those combat elements a little bit more, and the addition of the new abilities should help make combat a little bit more engaging rather than the old block counter, which was very much a complaint of the original game. Now, if you are not aware, Riot Games has released Season 3 for League of Legends, and the patch for that went out last Friday, so on the 1st of February. It brings a whole load of changes. As you may be aware, the system for rank play in Season 3 has changed a great deal. There's no longer a flat ELO rating. It's now split up into divisions ranging from bronze, silver, gold, diamond, platinum, and then the challenger division right at the very top. And then that is split into tiers. It's quite a complicated system to an extent. It's not when you get your head around it, and Riot did release a very good video that's on their channel. Again, I'll put a link in the video description below that explains how it is. But if you're familiar with the Starcraft2 system and the way that works with the different divisions and your rating within that, then that's basically how it's going to work. And in order to move up divisions, you're going to have to play a best of 5 match once you reach the top tier of your division. So it looks complicated to begin with, but actually it's fairly simple when you get your head around it. Now, the reason that Riot said they wanted to do this was because they wanted to give players far more tangible rewards. They felt like the flat ELO rating wasn't really enough incentive for people to pull themselves further, and they wanted to give people immediate reward for doing well. And of course that immediate reward is either moving up your tier level or moving up an actual division. So it's nice to see that. I'm actually in favour of it. I think it's quite nice when you can see yourself far more charted, and so rather than having this big pool of players and you've got various ratings and it's difficult to really gauge where you are in the pack, you know, it's split out into these divisions. You know where you are in the division, and you've got an immediate short-term goal that you can realistically aim for, which hopefully longer term is going to be able to help you pull yourself up into the higher division leagues if you dedicate the time and play towards it. So I'm all for that. Now obviously with Season 3 there's a number of changes to gameplay, Pre-season we saw a couple of changes to the way creeps work, including greater gold rewards for killing the larger creeps like the cannon minions, and they're changing some character abilities to reflect that. The most notable one for me is Vega, because I occasionally play Vega as AP carry, and his Baleful Strike will give greater AP bonuses if, for example, you kill a champion, or if you kill large jungle creeps, or if you kill the cannon creeps. And that's, they said it was inconsistent that a lot of the abilities that give rewards on deaths weren't reflecting the new game design mechanics, so they've updated a lot of those abilities. There's also been quite a few tweaks seen to various champions, particularly after seeing them being played out during the Season 3 qualifiers for the EU and the NA, and of course for recent Korean games as well. Olaf is receiving slight nerfs to some of his abilities, particularly after seeing how well Olaf was played by some of the teams as a solo top. So they're looking to change some of those abilities. There's far too many for me to list through, but they are in the patch notes, a lot of patch notes, so it's well worth you having a look at that. Just on a side note, PC Gamer has done a really good article on their website about buyer's guide. Basically, it's a buyer's guide so that if you're relatively new to League of Legends, you're not sure what to put money into first. Obviously it is a free to play game, but it does take a while to build up the IP currency that's used to buy a lot of the champions and things like that. So this is really a guide on how to best spend either the IP that you accrue, or if you actually want to drop real money on Riot points, what to buy. And hopefully you're going to get the most bang for your buck, as it were. So a little bit of guidance from them. Again, description in the links down below. Well worth looking at that if you haven't really played League of Legends before. And not to be outdone, Heroes of Newerth have announced Heroes of Newerth 3.0. Now this brings an overhaul of several aspects to HoN, including a new upgrade to some of the user interface aspects of the game. I'm not very familiar with Heroes of Newerth. To be honest, I'm a bit of a League of Legends player myself, so I am looking down at my notes here, bear with me. As well as the upgrade to the UI, they're also redesigning some of the maps, some of the champions, and they're also bringing in more what they call player welcoming tools. And this is going to include new bots play, so you can play against AIs before delving into PvP. That's something that League of Legends has had for a while. They're including new walkthroughs, and in what they call the Learnatorium, there are several hint videos to help you get to grips with the gameplay. So something to make the system a little bit more welcoming to the new players. It's something that Riot has been doing with League of Legends for quite some time now, and it's been very successful for them. And I can't help but feel that Heroes of Newerth have fallen behind League of Legends somewhat in the way that they have dealt with welcoming in new players. They tend to cater to a much more hardcore audience with some of the different design mechanics, including creep denying. However, they are primarily going to be contending against Dota 2, which has a lot of the same mechanics as Heroes of Newerth does, much more so than League of Legends does. And I think it's very important, if Heroes of Newerth wants to maintain being competitive within the MOBA market, it's good to see them taking some of these lessons on board and releasing these new features. So good on them. And finally, for all you Starcraft2 fans, a new Starcraft Heart of the Swarm trailer, preview trailer has been announced. there is a walkthrough of the new simplified main menu system, which is going to be introduced with Heart of the Swarm, and also a lot of the new key social features. Blizzard is very big on this idea of social features in most of their games now, and they want to make it easier for there to be social interaction amongst those people that play multiplayer competitive Starcraft2. And they also preview some of the clan support, which is a previously unveiled feature, but something, again, Blizzard is very, very big on. A lot of the pro Starcraft 2 players actually play as part of a clan or team system, and Blizzard has been very keen to give them greater support to hopefully enhance the game's esport prestige, make it easier for players to get into that kind of team aspect. Again, we were talking about League of Legends. That obviously has a built-in team mechanic because it's a 5v5 thing, whereas generally speaking the Starcraft 2 competitive scene is one-on-one, but it's done through a series of individual games between players on different teams, and it's the most number of wins teams have out of individual plays and things like that. So Blizzard has been very keen to try and promote that within its user interface within the game, because obviously esports is a big thing for Starcraft 2, and they want to try and support the way that most tournaments are structured and the way gaming teams use the game. And so therefore it makes logical sense for them to implement these kind of features into the game itself. For those of you who aren't aware, the Heart of the Swarm is due for release on the 12th of March. It's available for pre-purchase now. I have pre-purchased it. I'm not a competitive player of Starcraft 2 by any stretch of the imagination, but I do like the occasional game with friends. And if you pre-purchase it now, it all downloads onto your system, etc, etc, and it should be ready to play for the 12th of March as soon as it gets released. So that is me, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for watching my show. For those of you who are wondering, I will be doing a MechWarrior Online News update as soon as I can. Unfortunately, that does take quite a bit of my time to actually do that, and there's a lot I've got to catch up from since the last patch before Christmas. So I will try and sit down and do that as soon as I can, and try and update you. There's been a number of new mechs released, new hero mechs released, things like that. So I will update that ASAP. I will hopefully have a new League of Legends series where I'll go into a little bit more detail about Season 3 and the changes on that, and hopefully a bit of a playthrough. I've recently just hit level 30 on League of Legends, and I'm kind of keen to do a from suck to superstar kind of playthrough series, so hopefully you can follow my progress as I start off as a complete noob in League of Legends competitive play, ranked play, and hopefully drag myself out from the bottom tiers to some kind of modicum of respectability within the player base. So we'll see how that goes, and if I get time to do that and post that up. So once again, guys, thanks very much for watching me and joining me. Please do look forward to any of the new updates and new videos that I put out. If you have a comment, either positive or negative, please leave it down below, and I will see you next time.